Please start.
Uh, Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to this session on cybersecurity and information protection. Actually, these are testing times. You understand very well that everybody is working from home, learning from home, so everybody is connected to internet all the time, doing something or other. And cyber criminals are taking advantage of this. And in the recent last 2 weeks, cybercrime has risen by staggering 86% in India. So let's start our journey. First, I will take you to my world of cybercrime. Let me share my screen. So, is my screen visible, ma'am?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. So just keep reading the headlines. There's so many types of cybercrime have come, and there is no single app or software which can protect you from the cybercrime. It's only your alertness and awareness which can protect you from your cybercrime. ATM frauds, credit cards frauds is increasing so much that card is in your pocket and you get the message that 10,000 rupees have been deducted and the transaction happened in Mumbai while you were sitting in Chandigarh. So how that happens? I will explain it to you. In fact, there is no statistics. It, it is rising exponentially. Phishing, cybercrime, that email spoofing, it has risen by 350% in last week. And this is the time we need to change our thinking about data security. These are few slides about me. In fact, the cyberbullying, cyber stalking, these have increased so much that we must make our children aware how to protect their devices, their images, videos, and their data online. That is very important. So you must have heard about the boys' locker room in Delhi recently, which happened, which involved a group of teenagers. So many things are happening these days. So we have limited time, so I will try to cover as much as possible. And at the end, if you have any question, you can type in the chat box. In the end, I will take the questions.
Sir, you are not audible. Your mic is off.
Arunji, please unmute yourself.
Sorry. So you just had an introduction of cybercrime, and I was telling that doing cybercrime is easy. Like you can do it from your home, from a mall, from a cafe, and let us suppose that I have to access locker in your bedroom. It will be very difficult for me because you will be having watchman, watchdog, sensors, CCTV cameras. But if I have to hack your credit card or debit card, that is very easy for me because I can do it very conveniently sitting at my home. So, and let us start from the beginning. Hackers. I think everybody is known to this term hacker. Hackers actually are they're good people. They used to be good people. They used to help people. They had extra knowledge. Like if my PC is running, capable of running at the speed of 3.2 gigahertz, I can make it run on speed of 5.2 gigahertz. That is my extra knowledge. So they had extensive extra knowledge, extra research, and they were helpful. But there was one more category of people, crackers. Crackers were bad people. They used to bypass security uh, and access data without the consent, destroy data, and so many types of nonsense things they used to do. But due to wrong publicity of media, hackers and crackers became a single entity. Now hackers had to do something to protect their reputation. So what they did was they divided themselves into two types of hackers: black hat hackers and white hat hackers. White hat hackers are actually professionals. They are ethical hackers. They are hired by companies. They are hired by governments. They are hired by organizations to uh, to protect the infrastructure so that before a black hat hacker or a cracker takes advantage of that loophole should be patched up. So white hat hackers are ethical hackers and black hat hackers are crackers. And there are so many types of hackers. Hackers are in fact employed by governments also to spy on governments of different countries. The state-sponsored hackers, and they are suicide hackers. They don't care about what happens afterwards. They just do hacking for the thrill of hacking. It was in the cybercrime. As I was telling that doing cybercrime is easy because if I have to access your house, that will be difficult. But if I have to access your debit card, credit card, it is easy for me. And but that does not mean that it is impossible to trace out. I will telling you how that gets traced out. But this is a fact that every 3 seconds an identity is stolen. Identity stolen means a credit card or debit card being compromised. Its data being copied or card being cloned. Something like that is happening every 3 seconds. Hacking is there are so many types of cybercrime, but I will cover the most prevalent 4 to 5 cybercrimes first. Hacking is a direct form of cybercrime. You break the password, access the data. It can be done two ways. One is through tools, one is through social engineering. Tools is basically like you go to a cyber cafe or to a public computer and do your access your Facebook there or your access your net banking there. There's some software to capture the details, your login details. That is through tools. But the most dangerous thing is social engineering. I'll give you an example first. Social engineering is basically taking advantage of goodness of people. It's conning people. Your neighbor comes to you, he says, sir, my Wi-Fi is not working and I have to send an urgent email. So please give me your Wi-Fi password. and you provide him with your password, Wi-Fi password, and he keeps on accessing it, using it or misusing it, you don't know, and you forgot that you had ever given him the password. He used social engineering to get the password from you. Your neighbor comes to a child and says, look, I have bought a new mobile phone. This is a very latest smartphone. It has 64 MB RAM. You attach it to, connect it to your Wi-Fi and play a game. You see, it runs very fast. Your child takes the smartphone, connects it to his Wi-Fi, plays the game, and returns the smartphone. But what happens was that password of your Wi-Fi got stored in that mobile phone. So that is social engineering, taking advantage of goodness of people. We hackers, when we fail to find something vulnerable in a system, then we social engineering people. Then we try to break them by social engineering. And it never fails because there are always few people which will fall to this social engineering attack. Second is cyberbullying, cyber stalking. I will be coming to that later on. It's basically online harassment through text, through messages, WhatsApp messages, fake profiles, abusive comments, these kind of things. And third is identity theft. Identity theft is basically related to stealing of financial information like credit card, debit cards, net banking details, and it is directly linked to one other kind of cybercrime, that is phishing. Before I show you some screens, let me explain this. Phishing pages are duplicate pages of original website. Like Facebook, you go to cyber cafe, you find a Facebook page opens, you enter your username and password, and then what happens that instead of getting your page opened, that username and password got transferred to some third person because you fail to see the difference, and there is no difference. It is exactly same. The only difference you will find is in the URL, in the web address. You can say it is facebook.com, and we generally ignore the web address URL. And the method to create these pages are such that there can never be any difference. It's just like taking a picture of the original page and then posting it. And these are very quick to create and easy to send. You can see this is a phishing page of ICICI Bank, and if you don't know the exact URL of your bank, you can get hacked. You search in Google ICICI Bank, a page comes, you see, and it looks like ICICI Bank page, and you enter the details, you are gone. Your account will get hacked. So always type the URL yourself, www.icicibank.com, www.facebook.com. Never ever enter your credential in any open page, maybe the Gmail or net banking or the Facebook. Type the address yourself. This is the HDFC Bank, and this is something I am interesting going to tell you. Like you can see there is customer ID. First you enter to access your account, you first enter the customer ID. Then you click on the continue. Then a box comes which asks for the password. Then you enter the password and you can access your net banking detail. But if you have an account in HDFC Bank, you must have noticed that printed statement which comes to your house has this customer ID printed on that. You just throw that statement into dustbin, tear it off or throw it in the dustbin. But if somebody picks that statement, he will find the customer ID. He will go to the hdfcbank.com original page, enter the customer ID, click on the continue, the password box will come. He doesn't know the password. But if he enters a wrong password 3 or 4 times, your account will get blocked. So hacking is just not accessing the key to the lock. It is also like hammering the lock so much that even an original owner cannot open it. So you be careful what you throw it in dustbin. Your ATM slips, your photocopies of Aadhaar card, PAN card, bank statements, electricity bills, because all these can be picked up and can be used for any malicious purpose. Maybe for uh, taking loan, renting an apartment, or taking a SIM card. So many things can be done for that. So just clear up properly, and then you throw it in the dustbin. And this is COVID-19 times. There will be spoofed emails. Spoofed emails means it will show like that it has come from WHO or it has come from Domino. When you will click on the link, a phishing page will open, which will prompt you to enter some details, maybe debit card or credit card or some other details. And when you will enter it, then you are gone. So you need to learn how to identify spoofed email and phishing links. First of all, if some offers like this comes, always talk to the original company by phone or by the app that is this offer is valid. Have you given such offer? And then after confirming it, then you enter your details. Lots of emails are coming from WHO, which contains phishing links. You can read the protections. How to identify a spoofed email? Like I mentioned, a spoofed email is which is you think that it is from a legitimate source, but actually it is from a some hacker or some fraudulent person. You just take the mouse pointer over the sender's name in the email, and it will show you the actual address from it has come. Like if you take the pointer to a WHO and the mail is not from WHO, it will show you the URL from it has come. So you can do to identify the spoofed email. And always maintain effective antivirus. This is a golden rule basically. Three things you need to always update: your antivirus, your operating system, and your browser. And then possibility will be only 80% that you will get hacked. Kaspersky is a good antivirus, and always use it for a mobile phone also. And these are not expensive, just 400 rupees for a year. So always have an effective antivirus in your mobile phone and your laptop or PC. There are so many types of malicious software. Your virus, there are spywares. Spywares are basically to collect the information from you, and they are remote access trojans or remote access tools, remote administrative tools, which will take control of your computer. And the person, like you must have, somebody of you must have experience, like you are experiencing some difficulty in installing password manager or something, and you call the customer care. They say, okay, you give us access to your computer through TeamViewer or some other screen sharing software, and they will operate from their place. They will be operating your computer, solving your problem. So rat is just like that, but it is not legal. The person can install it, and it can hack your mobile, your camera, your mic, everything, whatever you're doing on computer, which files you are opening, it can get hacked. I will show you an example, just read it. This girl's webcam was hacked through some this uh, remote access, uh, remote administrative tool, and her pictures and videos were taken through her webcam only, and then shared on some website. And how that happened? She must have clicked on some link. Click here to win a free trip to Los Angeles. Trip. Click here to scan your computer with free antiviruses. So these things make these trojans, these viruses come to your computer. So think 100 times before clicking on such links. Webjacking is hacking a website. These normally happen near 26th January or 15th August. You can see this Pakistan Zindabad or some other messages which hackers love to leave on the website which they hack. Now, how to secure ourselves? Before doing that, we must need to understand one technical concept, that is IP address. What is IP address? IP address is like your number plate, your registration plate. If an accident happens on a road and the car floods away, what happens? How that car is tracked out from the registration number. Same thing is with the IP address. Whenever you get connected to the internet, you are provided an IP address. You visit a website, you make a comment, you do anything, your IP address goes with you. That's how cyber criminals are tracked out from their IP address. And this whole game of cybercrime and cybersecurity revolves around the IP addresses. You can read this case study to understand the importance of IP address. You must learn to how to find your IP address, and if you have found somebody's IP address, how to find details of that. You just need to browse any of the following sites. First site is my favorite, what is my ipaddress.com. Let's suppose just I enter the URL, what is my ipaddress.com. What I will get is this is my IP address, public IP address. I'm using Airtel. I'm from Chandigarh and from India. And if you have got somebody else IP address, then you need to click on the IP lookup. This box will come. You need to enter IP address of the person and his detail will come. Then just observe that this does not lead to house of the person. It's not the house address. Rest of the details are with the service provider, like with Airtel. They know at which second this IP address was uploaded to which house, and they give this information to cybercrime police only. If you have found the IP address, it means you have done 99.9% of the work. Just a quiz. Okay. Now one introduction to one useful app. Sometimes you feel that your Wi-Fi is working slow or your data limit gets exhausted. You think it has been hacked, somebody else is using it. How to know that? There are two apps I'm mentioning. One is the Ping app and other is Who's on my Wi-Fi. You just need to download this from the Play Store and you connect to your Wi-Fi. That's all. It will give you the detail of devices connected to your Wi-Fi. And you can see that if you have only 5 devices in your house, how come there are 7 devices or 8 devices? It means somebody else is using your Wi-Fi without your permission, without your consent, or it has been hacked. So at that moment, what you should do is you change the password, and that with those illegally entered participants will be thrown out immediately. You must learn how to change the Wi-Fi password. Now, securing your Gmail account. Before that, I need to tell you something about the keylogger. Keylogger is a very dangerous type of software. It was basically created to whatever you are typing on your computer, to capture that, to basically to capture your username and password. But then it got developed so that it can capture everything, every single thing you do on computer, which website you are opening, to whom you are talking, your webcam, everything it can capture. And keyloggers are for smartphones also. In the second point, you can see that this is done by exploiting a vulnerable browser. Vulnerable browser means the browser which has not been updated. You must know how to update your browser. Frequently, you should do this. Every service you are using, you must update it immediately. Whenever some updates comes on for your Android phone or iOS, do not delay it. Immediately install that update, because those updates are basically to patch the vulnerabilities, to the weak points, to the loopholes of your operating system. You can see this. Somebody is typing the email and username and password, and it is being recorded at the backend. And it can record practically everything. Now, let us suppose you went to a public computer, maybe to cyber cafe. You entered your Gmail details, and it got captured through keylogger. Now what happens now? The person can log into your Gmail account anytime and access, read your emails, confidential data, everything. But there is one provision, that two-step verification or two-factor authentication. If you have applied it, it means you need to link your mobile phone with your Gmail, and then whenever you will log into your Gmail account along with the username and password, a verification code will be sent to your mobile phone. You need to enter that code also, and only then your account will open. And now in case your username and password got captured, the person will not be able to open your account because the verification code comes to your mobile phone only. And this two-factor authentication is not for Gmail only. All types of email accounts, all types of social media accounts, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you should apply it. This is the only way to protect yourself these days. There are so many types of hacking methods, password cracking methods, that you cannot protect it against all types of password cracking methods. You create a 20 characters long password, but if keylogger is there, your password will get captured. The only way to protect is two-step verification. How to, if you feel that somebody is reading your Gmail, your emails, how to catch that person, how to know that? You just go to the right bottom corner of the inbox, click on the details. What you will get is, I am sure that many of you have never clicked on these details, but you click on it, what you will get is last 10 login details. You can see that date and time is there, IP address is there. You can see that at number 6 at this time I was not at my home, I did not access my email account. It means somebody has accessed it. So my Gmail has been hacked. And from it was where it was done, from this IP address. When IP address is there, you can find the person. How come you can do that? You need to go to the www.whatismyipaddress.com, click on the IP lookup link, enter the IP address, and the detail will come. Coffee shop, we go to CCTV, we go to airports, we use free Wi-Fi. We think we are connected like this, but actually there is called man in the middle attack, and in it, somewhere in between, is capturing your data. You are connected to internet, but through somebody. So what is the protection? Protection is basically you must have heard virtual private network, VPN software. These have become very common these days, as common as antivirus systems. You should not do anything without this, because it these create an encrypted tunnel account to your data, then nobody can access it. Not the hacker, not your ISP, or not the government. Nobody can read the data. So these days you must have this VPN software. It is also not very expensive. Must have VPN software in your mobile phone and in your laptop also. And these few people know that there are some software when you attach your pen drive, your data get transferred to the computer. Because many children go to cyber cafe to get a printout of their project work. Along the project work, there are sensitive pictures, their selfies, the family function photographs in their pen drive. And when they attach, got got transferred without giving any command by the user. Cautious, you can view. Cyberbullying stalking. These are very demoralizing effect of mentality of a person. But you don't need to be afraid. Just you need to preserve the evidence. Take the print screen, copy it in a Word file, and save it. Because if you have to go to the cybercrime police, that screenshot will help them to identify the person. First try blocking him, but if he keeps on trying from different sources by changing his username, but then you must go to the cybercrime police. You must take confidence. You are some person uh, to whom you trust, maybe your teacher or your sister, brother, and then you must inform the police. How secure is my password? There are so many types of password capturing method. Password guessing is the weak password, like your mobile number. Dictionary attack is in which words of dictionary are tried against your password. Brute force password is when all the characters of your keyboard in combinations are tried with you against your password. Phishing attacks I told, password recording software, the keyloggers I told. And we also say password in your browsers. We should not do that because these are easily viewable. Rule to form a strong password have at least 8 to 10 characters long, consisting of uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and symbols. And use the passphrase instead of password. Passphrase is basically like I am a good boy. It has spaces in between, and this is much more difficult to crack than a password. And again, I repeat, to defeat all those password hacking method, there is one defense: two-factor authentication, two-step verification. You must apply this to your all accounts. Now there are so our images, videos we post on Facebook, Instagram, those can be used in many ways. Those can be mocked, those can be used for creating fake profiles. You never know what will happen to your photographs. And it is not possible to track every social media platform. मैंने फेसबुक पे भी ये ऐड किया था, इंस्टाग्राम पे किया था, ट्विटर पे किया था. Now how to keep track of the pictures that do not have been stolen? There is no way. So we must devise a golden rule to protect your images. You know watermarking. Watermarking is a very uh, faint signature or message or QR code on your photograph. You can see this. This is my photograph, and through a software I added this text, and this text is appearing as a watermark on my photograph. Now somebody take the screenshot or downloads it, it will go along. So you must apply some watermark to your photograph before uploading it on internet. You can note this, these are few free software through which you can apply watermarks. There is very good and powerful app, Photo Watermark, for the Android. You can add your signature, your name with your QR code with the background on the photograph and upload it on social media from the same. And this is a free app. You must download it on your phone. You can also do reverse image search in the Google, so that you can know that even if your photograph is being used somewhere, Google will tell you. These are the golden rules for cybersecurity, cyber safety on social media. ATM frauds. As I told you earlier, that it happens now that your debit card or credit card in your pocket, but you get the message on your phone that rupees 20,000 have been deducted from your account, and the transaction happened in Mumbai or US while you were sitting somewhere in Delhi. How that happens? I'll tell you. These are ATM or debit card frauds. They are skimmers. You can see that this is the capturing device. It will put on the top of this original real card reader slot. You can see in the below picture somebody is fitting it. When you will enter your card, the data on the magnetic stripe will be captured. So now hacker needs your pin also to use your make a clone of your debit card and use it. So there are false pin pad overlays. You can see that it will be fixed on top of the original pad. Now when you enter the pin will work, but pin will also be captured. Now on the magnetic stripe, the data has been captured, pin has been captured, and this data will be sent wirelessly to some other city or maybe some other country. And the machines to make duplicate cards are available online. Blank cards are available online. Duplicate card will be made, means it will be cloned and will be used. And you will be keep on wondering, I am in Chandigarh, the transaction happened in Mumbai or US. That's how that happens. You can see the complete setup also. Now what are the precautions? Always try to use those ATMs which are inside the banks. And you must cover the pin by your hand. And whenever you go to an ATM, just slide that slot where you enter the card left and right, because these are temporarily fixed, then those will come out if it is a scammer. And there is one useful tip, that there is CVV written on the back of the card. You know, when you have to complete the online transaction, online shopping, you need to enter the CVV also. Now suppose you drop your debit card, the person will not be able to use in the ATM machine because he doesn't know the pin, but he can do it for the online shopping. But if your CVV is not there, if you have removed it and written it somewhere else or just memorized it, then your card is safe, even if you have dropped it, because he won't be complete the online shopping transaction because CVV is missing. Now most of you will be thinking that OTP also comes Even if CVVs come and somebody is trying to uh, do online shopping from my card, OTP will come to my mobile phone. But this is compulsory in India only. But Supreme Court government has made it mandatory for the Indian gateways to try to buy more Google space, iCloud services. There will be no OTP. So whenever it is transacted on a foreign website, no OTP comes. Just by when you enter your CVV, transaction gets completed. So this is a very good trick. You can always use it. This is the last section. These days, there's so many apps: GPay, PhonePe, Paytm, Bheem, and most of the people are getting, uh, I mean, getting conned through these apps. They do shopping on OLX, receive some QR code, receive some message, they act accordingly, and their amount gets deducted. They said we just scan the QR code or we just enter the PIN. The person has said that to receive the payment you need to enter the PIN. I entered the PIN and amount got deducted from my account instead of getting credited to my account. So there are so many issues. Just read these two cases. What common thing is there? QR code. What is a QR code? Do all of you know? For most of the people, this is a matrix of white and black boxes. But there is many type of information hidden in it, and it is capable of doing many things. It can redirect to a website, and if it can redirect to a genuine website, it can redirect to a phishing website also. It can install a malware on your mobile phone or your PC. Now this is the golden rule. I never scan QR codes. I always tell the person to tell me the mobile number. I will enter his mobile number in my GPay on my phone pay. His account will come and I will transfer the money. Because 95% of frauds happen through QR codes. A person will send you the QR code and say, okay, scan it, you will receive the money. And you scan it, when you scan it, some spyware or some rat gets installed on your mobile phone and your other accounts also get hacked. So make it a rule, wherever possible, do not scan a QR code. And these are some general rules for using GPay, PhonePe, Bheem, or other UPI IDs. It is safe, like you go to a supermarket, a QR code is pasted there, you can scan it. But if someone unknown from unknown sources send you a QR code to scan, never do it. And you have to enter your PIN only while making the payment, not while receiving the payment. If somebody says you that I am sending you payment, you enter the PIN and you will receive the money, it means he is cheating you. When you enter the PIN, your account will get debited. Money will be deducted from your account instead of adding to your account. And there are so many types of frauds which can happen with your UPI apps. So I have made a golden rule. I have created a separate bank account and linked with my UPI apps. I use Beam, I use GPay, PhonePe, Paytm, all types of use I use. But the account I have attached with that never contains more than 8,000 rupees. So if even I get hacked, only 8,000 will go. My main account is separate from that. So you should also do this because these are peer-to-peer, bank-to-bank transfer. Earlier there were wallets like payment wallet, Paytm wallet, Freecharge wallet, which can hold only up to 10,000. Those need to be recharged. But it is in these UPI apps, their limit is 1 lakh, and 1 lakh can be deducted in one go just by entering a wrong PIN by you. And banks won't take the responsibility because bank is not involved in this. This is directly user to user transaction. So you need to be very careful while dealing with GPay, PhonePe or other apps. So this golden rule, you should always have a separate bank account because there's so much possibilities of getting hacked through UPI apps that it is advisable to have a separate bank account for that. And for students, those who make fake profiles or do abusive comments, they should bear in mind that there are laws which can get them imprisonment for 3 years or fine up to 2 lakhs. For every type of fraud, there is at least imprisonment for 3 years. And there is also digital footprinting, like if you make a comment, abusive comment on somebody's fake profile, and after 4 years you go to foreign university to get admission, they will track your digital footprints. There are different tools, different methods. They are called OSINT tools, open source intelligence tools. What you did 4 years back will come to them. And if you have done some type of cyberbullying, you will refuse the admission. So you need to be very careful while making a comment or do something illegal because these digital frauds are, whenever you do some activity on internet, these digital footprints are impossible to remove. These always stay there and you will refuse admission by reputed universities if you had done anything uh, illegal maybe 4 years back or 5 years back. Many people don't know how to report a cybercrime. Look, there are so many calls come to me that this had happened, what to do now, okay, what you had done, I have done that, I have stored my account. No, but how to report a cybercrime? They don't know. So there is one portal, one website worked by Government of India, and this is a unified portal. You can you are from any state, that doesn't matter. Just go to this portal and report your cybercrime. It will automatically transfer the cybercrime to the relevant city and relevant police station. Second way is you just go to the nearest police station and report it. You don't need to find a cyber cell. You just go to the nearest police station. They themselves will send the report to the relevant cyber cell. But the best way is to go to this website and report your cybercrime. So that was all. These are my social media platforms. In fact, anytime you want to contact me, if you have any issue, you can always do that. And remember that again, I'm telling you, there is no app or there is no software which can protect you from cybercrime. There's so many types. Only your alertness, your awareness can protect you. And 100% cybersecurity is myth. And 90% it depends on your alertness. So thank you very much. And now I will take the question answer session. I'll stop sharing the screen.
Yeah, Arunji, we have a question from Prabhakar Sundaram.
Yes, ma'am.
Which is very dangerous, the online banking, the mobile banking, or the ATM, or which can be highly protected out of the above three?
So online banking and mobile banking are basically same. You can say that which is more dangerous, operating it from a PC or operating it from a mobile phone. You mean that? This is okay. Your mobile phone, I think this is more dangerous because you install so many types of apps, and you never know that which type of app is having spyware or having some virus or Trojan. Because the Play Store, which we used to think it is a safe place to download apps, it has become an epicenter for these malicious apps. So always have an effective antivirus first in the laptop and the mobile as well, and then your net banking is safe. And ATM, I told you in the session that ATM how to protect your ATM transactions, and which is next session and next question. If you want to unmute, you can always unmute and ask me. I think there is no
There
more.
is no question.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think now
Yeah,
we should close the session. So thank you, Arunji, for this session. For
right.
this, like it was very informative, and it has given so much of awareness and knowledge to all of us.
My fair ma'am. So
And thank you, Arunji.
thank you, ma'am. Thank you, BPV Publication, for organizing it, ma'am. It was now need of the hour actually. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. And we would also like to thanks all the participants for their support and cooperation. We are sure that everyone had a great learning experience, and we look forward to see you all in our next webinar. Also, would like to share that we have many books to learn the principles of cybersecurity, information security, like fundamentals of cybersecurity, secure chains, and cyber safety for everyone, which is a great source basically and tells about like the kind of trouble anyone can get into when they are online and suggests very simple and effective ways to deal with such situations. These books are available at bbbonline.com, and we hope that you all benefited from this webinar and any queries will be resolved after the webinar. Thank you so much everyone once again, and let's close the session. Thank you, Arunji. Thanks all the participants.